So you all probably know what Woodstock 99 is, right? I mean, I would hope so if you clicked on this video and it's about Woodstock 99, and it probably says it in the title. I don't know what the title's going to be yet, but you probably know what it is. Woodstock 99 was a huge concert lineup that occurred in, 1999, where basically a whole bunch of bands such as Limp Bizkit, Korn, The Offspring, all the well-known bands all went up on stage and they did very, very cool performances. Woodstock 99 was a really big audience, which one was really cool and two was really bad. One, obviously, because there's so many people jumping around and it's a hype show and there's so many cool things happening. But two, because of what happened in the end. Woodstock 99 included 3 deaths of 24-year-old David DeRosia, 28-year-old Tara Weaver, and another 44-year-old man. DeRosia collapsed in a mosh pit, Weaver was hit by a car whilst leaving the concert, and the man in his 40s suffered a cardiac arrest at the camping site. Not only were the deaths the most terrible part, the water that people needed to hydrate, that people were probably willing to buy, was fucking expensive. A bottle of water at Woodstock 99 costed $4. $4 today is technically $7.54. Now think about that. Think about if Woodstock 99 was now. Imagine we were paying almost $8, close to $10 for a bottle of water. On Steve-O's Wild Ride podcast, Jonathan Davis was even talking about the experience and how he thought the water was even really fucking expensive and why he thought it went wrong.
What are the crazier crowds you've ever seen?
Paul's been wanting to ask you about Woodstock.
Yeah, you're at Woodstock 99, which I know is kind of like infamously sort of a shit show, no?
Not our day.
Okay.
Our day was amazing. We went on and it was an amazing show. The first show was it's one of the highlights of my whole career. I'd never seen that many people and everybody was having a good time and there was no bullshit going on that night. It just got progressively worse because the situation out there, water was $10. The outhouses were overfilling and shit, piss was everywhere. It got really, really bad out there. So I understand why everybody got pissed and started rioting. It wasn't a good setup. But for our night was amazing. I remember flying over there. We all rented a jet. We got this big, 737. It was us, Biscuit, and Ice Cube. And we all got on this plane and we all rolled all to Woodstock. That was fun. The party on that plane was ridiculous. There was like the crew and everybody in the back. And there was this midsection, which Cube had, and we were all playing craps in there. And it was all gangsters there. And then there was the front section, which was my section because I like it cool and just chill. So I'd walk back there, play some craps, and then walk up to the front where I could just relax. And there was no craziness going on. But I mean, that show was, man, it was nuts. There's so many people, and I'll never forget that show. I won't.
And you were like a year sober then, right?
Yeah, and I'd been, I think a year. I was a year sober, and I didn't know I was going through DTs. I was still going through.
Just fucking playing Woodstock.
I kicked it cold turkey. I mean, I stopped. I'd shake and have anxiety attacks and all kinds of crazy shit in my bunk. That whole process, I didn't know that you go through this stuff. So I thought I was just going crazy. But I got in there and I did it, and I went back and I couldn't even move because we'd been in the studio working on a record. We even played songs at that show that had no lyrics. I was freestyling, just mumbling some of the songs. It was great. But after that, I went back and they had to carry me back in the dressing room, and I was dying. I was in pain. I hadn't moved like that in years, and it was rad. Then the next day we got on a plane, went home. It was a good time.
Jonathan basically explains like the whole thing, like the reason why everything went wrong stemmed basically just from hydration, the food, the water, and the toiletry. The fucking porta potties were overflowing with shit. As you could see earlier in the video in that little not documentary, that little montage that I did, it was literally just disgusting in those porta potties. There was trucks taking it out, and there were cups and shit and piss and things all over the seat, and people started getting covered in it, and then they started getting angry, so then they started rioting, which probably injured so many more people. And that's basically just why Woodstock was a disaster in a nutshell. So bye.